Trip. He's a boat salesman. Dreams of probably sailing around the world, you know. He still lives at home. It's my age, 35, 36. Has a pretty sweet deal, you know. Gets along with mom and dad. They pay the rent. He gets breakfast every morning. Gets his clothes washed. Life's pretty good, you know. He's also someone who in the past had a fiance who passed away. And without giving the story away, it's one of the cool things about his character and one of the reasons why he's really not getting in any serious relationships since then is he's still got the love of his life, which is the woman that passed away, and not in a sad way, because the film's a comedy and he looks at it in a very refreshing way. But that's one of the reasons that he's still at home, and he goes ahead, and then by the end of the story, he kind of learns what everyone does in this story is, hey, two's better than one. Go give it a shot and have a good time doing it.
Now, this idea of 30 grown men and women now actually living at home, what do you think about that? Do you have friends that do that?
I don't have many friends that do that. I know some, though.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them, like Chip, you know, kind of believe they have it figured out. What's not to like, you know? Like I said before, everything's taken care of. Mm-hmm. They get along with mom and dad. All the amenities are taken care of. You know, it's nice when you got someone cooking for you, cleaning your clothes, and you get to see somebody that you grew up with, that you like hanging out with every day. I wasn't like that. Like I say, the day I turned 18, I hit the road, you know, and started traveling. But to each their own. I know people who, same sort of thing as people, you know, who lived in a small town growing up and never left, still haven't left. Or the amount of people that either never left their town, their state, or have never used their passport. Each to their own, I guess, you know?
Now, tell me a little bit about the friendship that he has. He's still buddies with his two guy friends from high school.
Yeah.
Tell me about that bond.
That bond? Well, they're all three good, they're just three good buddies, you know? And they have a great time with each other. As you see in the film, they do all kinds of stuff that's, you know, whether it's, like I was saying in an earlier interview, they're a pretty active group, more active than I could be in my daily life. It seems like every 5 minutes they have some free time. They're either climbing a rock or sailing a boat or doing something that's a pretty serious hobby. You know, all three of them sort of still live at home, you know? And they all three, in some way or version, feel like they've got it figured out, and life's just grand, and it is. But if they're going to evolve or move on, you know, by the end of the story, you kind of the moral of the story is two's better than one, and get out of the proverbial nest and go take a chance with somebody, you know.
Now, when you first got into acting, you were actually going to film school to be a filmmaker. What was it that got you into the acting side of things?
I was in a bar with my girlfriend and met a guy who was producing a film called Dazed and Confused, and he asked me if I had ever acted before, and I said I was in a Miller Lite commercial for about that long. I wouldn't call it acting, but that's my only in front of the camera experience. And he goes, "Well, you might be right for this part. Are you interested?" And I said, "Sure." And I went down and read for the part. 3 days' work turned into 3 weeks' work. I had so much fun, I couldn't believe I was getting paid $300 a day to do it. So people came up and said, "Hey, you're pretty good at it. You want to do it again?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it again." So I went back to school, directed a film, directed a much better film after that acting experience than I did before that. And drove out to Hollywood, started a production assistant job. So I drove out to Hollywood and had a small job behind the camera. In the meantime, I was going to try acting. Didn't think it was something that I was going to end up doing. And went to an audition. Never took that PA job. I got my first audition. And that was about 13, 14 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a fun little trip.
It's cool.
Riding the wave of life.
Super cool, yeah.
What do you feel? You've been kind of become the leading man of romantic comedies. What do you like about romantic comedies? What is it that keeps you going back?
That they're the lightness of them. I mean, we love a good drama. I love a good drama. It's nice to go deep on certain things, but it's also just as important. And the work in these things that I enjoy is to keep them light, to keep them buoyant, you know, to not take certain things so seriously. I call them like Saturday characters, you know, and I like Saturdays. So that's the job. That's the challenge in these, is you find yourself wanting to go deep. Sometimes you have to go, hey, stay on your cloud, you know, stay on your cloud. Keep this buoyant, keep it moving. Take it lightly. Comedy, I love comedy. All brands of comedy, but I like these because they're usually characters that don't necessarily have an occupation, that your dialect or something is bound to that occupation. It's about interpersonal relationships. It's usually just about dealing with something happening in life. So there's room for improvisation. There's room to be yourself. There's room to, you know, have a good time. There's room to keep it light and have fun. There's room to get pissed off. But you know that in these type of movies that it's not going to be something heavy, or no one's going to be angry for that long. Usually things are going to work out in these kind of movies, you know? And I just like it. And when I find that it's the work is in keeping it easy. And that's a lot of work to keep it easy, because it gets hard quite a bit. It becomes very difficult to keep it, as I said, buoyant. You know, the tendency is to want to go down and go, wait, this has, you know, a deep and meaningful significance. And you go, okay, it recognize that, but don't play that. Different movie. Different movie, you know? So the work is in keeping it light. And the light side of things is just as important as the dark. The easy is just as important as the difficult, you know? The buoyant is just as important as the deep, you know? So these things, the job, like in this film, is to keep the ship on the surface, man. Keep it on the surface.
Now, you're people's sexiest man alive. How did you feel when you found that out?
I thought it was pretty cool. I laughed first. I got that call and had a nice laugh with myself. And then I was like, that's pretty cool, man. You know, one, anytime you get recognized or any kind of success, I know the life I've lived, you're happy about it, you know? It's not easy to win anything, you know? So be happy when you have any kind of victory, I guess. And sexy is a word that I think is really cool. It's not just about how someone looks, it's who they are. You gotta have soul. You gotta have a sense of humor, you know? Everyone knows that from men and women. Sense of humor is important, you know? Respect for yourself, respect for others. Those are all things that I took when I heard this. I was like, oh, all right, man. Because the people I think are sexy, whether I think it's some way someone goes about their work, or the way someone focuses, or starting with the way they look, the way they move. I think, you know, it's more than just a snapshot. So I'm happy with it. My mom's real happy too.